this is my show. I'm finding stuff out that you want to know. Just ask me a question that I don't know. That's why Finding Stuff Out is the name of the show. So just give me a shout and we'll figure it out with the help of some friends, and the fun never ends on Finding Stuff Out, Finding Stuff Out, Finding Stuff Out. That's what it's all about. Yeah. Hi, welcome to Finding Stuff Out, where I answer your big questions. Like, what is all this stuff? Stick around and you'll find out. Because by the end of the show, I promise there'll be an explosive finish. Now, I always start the show with one of your questions, so here's the first one.
What will happen if someone cracks the Earth?
The short answer is mass destruction, disaster, chaos, the release of giant radioactive monsters. But seriously, if there are underground monsters waiting to escape, I want to know about them. So by the end of today's show, I'll find out what would happen if someone cracked the Earth. Here's a question from Jaden.
What I want to know is, how does an earthquake happen?
Well, there isn't an earthquake happening here at the moment, but I do know where to find out about them. My good friend and roving reporter Sidney is at the Science Center.
The Sydney Report.
Thanks, Harrison. Today I'm with Julie Jones, the earthquake expert. How does an earthquake happen?
That's a great question. The Earth is a bit like an orange. Inside the orange is liquidy and juicy. Inside the Earth is liquid rock. It's hot. Now, on the outside of the Earth, there's a crust. Just like on the outside of the orange, we have a peel. But they're in plates. And so I've kind of shown here that we've taken the orange open, and when those plates shift and move, that's when we get earthquakes.
Julie told me that where tectonic plates meet, that's where earthquakes and volcanoes happen. Like here, around the edge of the Pacific Ocean. There are so many earthquakes and volcanoes there that it's called the Ring of Fire. This map shows the number of earthquakes that have happened in the last 30 days. Wow, there's a lot. Julie tells me they use something called the Richter Scale to measure their energy.
The actual scale ranges from 0 to 10. Now, we've never had a 10. That's incredibly a massive earthquake. But anything less than a 2, we don't really notice at all. Something from like a 2 to a 3.5 or a 4, you're going to notice the Earth, it's going to move a little bit. Maybe some of the china in your cabinet that's a little close together is going to rattle. You might see some liquid moving in a fishbowl. But it's still a fairly small earthquake. But once you get into the 4s and the 5s and the 6s, then the building starts to shake. And once a building starts to shake, there can be damage in a building. And once you get up to something that's a magnitude 9, well, those are some of the biggest earthquakes we've ever had, and those are incredible. The whole building just wobbles back and forth. They collapse. We have tsunamis. All of those things go with a 9. Right, so when the surface of the Earth moves, the buildings move. And we try and make our buildings safe by building them using certain techniques. Here we have 2 distinct buildings. One is a very standard building. The other one is actually on a base that shifts back and forth, so that when the Earth shifts, in theory, it doesn't move around as much, making it a safer building to be in. You've got some handles that give the table a shake.
Oh, I see. So this one moves with the Earth, whereas this one just shakes back and forth.
Yeah. Now, we just discovered that this building will be the safer building to be in, so clearly it will survive a stronger earthquake than this one.
I also read that diagonal crossways for a building would make it more stable. Does that mean that if I were building out of Lego or K'NEX, if I made my base of my house with diagonal crossed bars, that would make it stronger than just straight?
Yes, if you're working in K'NEX, triangle shapes are the strongest shapes. So if you incorporate those with like a diagonal to an X across a square, that's going to be a stronger building.
But what about something like a road? What would happen to a road?
The plates go over top. So when it shifts, the road goes up, the surface goes up. Now this is a big earthquake. So Sidney, you had asked me about the Richter scale and how we measure earthquakes. This is a seismometer. Let's give it a demo. Why don't you give us a stomp, make the earth shake if you can, and we'll see how it measures up. Not too bad. It's a little.
I made a blip.
You made a blip. So you can imagine the more you've shifted the earth, the greater the energy, the higher the magnitude.
Oh no! What have I done? Whoa! Sorry about that, Harrison. Hang on!
Just kidding. But imagine if tectonic plates had to explain to their mom who made this big mess. It's not my fault the earth went crack. He pushed me, so I pushed him back. It's not my fault this seismic rift. Pacific plate, he started it. When plate pushes plate, you get an earthquake. When plate pushes plate, you get an earthquake. Now here's a question from Rianne.
How can they predict the weather, but they can't predict earthquakes?
Actually, Rianne, even weather forecasts are only accurate 7 times out of 10. There are so many forces involved in creating an earthquake that scientists still haven't figured out how to predict them yet. Uh-oh. Do try this at home. If you're in an earthquake, you have to get away from anything that might fall on you. Even on a desert island. So what if the earth started shaking right now, like this? You feel that? It's a tremor. Where do you go? What do you do? So the best place to be during an earthquake is outside, away from buildings, trees, and power lines. But, of course, you can't predict where you're going to be when there's an earthquake. So during an earthquake, it's best to be under a sturdy table like this because it protects you from anything that falls. Another great place is to sit under a door frame because the frame protects you from things that fall. Whew, but you're not really likely to feel one unless you live near a fault line. This is a picture of the San Andreas Fault in California, where the Pacific Plate meets the North American Plate. The movement of the plates is slowly pulling California apart. Eventually, Los Angeles will slide past San Francisco in about 20 million years. So while we're waiting for that to happen, let's take a question from Atom, who wants to find out.
How does lava get created inside volcanoes?
The Flat Earth Corner! So how does lava get created inside volcanoes? Well, here in ancient Rome, we've got that figured out. The god Vulcan has a blacksmith's forge in there. And volcano, get it? It's so funny because I made a joke and it was a funny one. Silly Romans, I am René Descartes. Here in the Renaissance, we admire the Romans, but instead of superstition, we have science. Through observation and deductive reasoning, I have concluded that volcanoes are created by the sun burning holes into the earth and allowing lava to escape. Makes sense, no? Descartes was a mathematical genius, but his explanation about volcanoes didn't make any more sense than the Romans. To find out how lava is created, please welcome a real volcanologist, Professor John Sticks. Hi.
How you doing, Harrison?
Welcome to my show.
Thanks for having me.
So can you tell me how lava is created?
This little can is going to tell us something about how volcanoes work.
A can of mixed nuts?
Yep.
I think I know what's coming, but I'll bite. Are you saying that snakes make lava?
Well, not exactly, wise guy.
The experiment! How is a snake like lava?
Okay, so that's a good experiment that shows that when pressure is released, a volcanic eruption happens. What happens is the magma breaks, then you get lava.
Magma is the melted rock and metal under the Earth's crust. It turns into lava once it reaches the surface of the Earth, like when it comes out of a volcano. So what do you have here?
It's a can of soda. We'll pop this one open slowly, and we'll fill up this baby bottle. Okay, soda pop is actually a great analog for a volcanic eruption and a volcano, because what's happening is that you're releasing pressure, and when the pressure is released, bubbles come out.
Oh, whoa. It's filling up.
So that's exactly what happened there. The bubbles
that
came out,
air?
and the pressure built up in the volcano. This is our volcano.
So now it's time for another question.
What would happen if volcanoes were everywhere?
Yeah, what would happen? Would it be like my scene of destruction earlier?
Yeah, it would be a mess, but it actually doesn't work like that. There are most volcanoes are actually not erupting right now. They're fairly quiet.
Oh, okay.
And some volcanoes, after a few months or a few years, start to get active, and they go into a eruption, and they might erupt for a few months or years, but then they quiet down. There are a couple of volcanoes that are always erupting, but these are pretty small volcanoes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then let's take another question. This one's from Melissa.
Does lava turn into a special rock when it hardens?
Okay, so think about lava. We see pictures of lava flowing in places like Hawaii, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, so it can come out as lava, but it can come out as ash too during an explosive eruption. So here is one volcanic rock. You can hold that.
It's like it was like polished, sort of.
Yeah, it's actually glass. It's called
okay.
Obsidian, and it has cooled really, really fast, just like glass does.
That's really cool.
Let's look at another one. Okay, so here's a piece of pumice.
Yes, I've heard of this.
Yeah, okay, so pumice is material that's been erupted out of the volcano, but the reason it's so light is that it's full of gas bubbles from all the gas, just like our can, okay? Same idea, full of gas bubbles that came out of the magma as it was erupted. Do you think this is heavy?
Probably.
It's not actually that heavy.
No, you're just gonna show
Okay,
it.
yeah. So inside this rock, this is a great rock.
Yeah.
So this is called a volcanic bomb. And inside the rock, it's full of bubbles, okay? And on the
looks like
outside,
there's, like, holes
it
in it.
cooled faster than inside.
Really?
So it's full of cracks. See,
show
all these are the cracks?
Oh yeah, all these things.
Yeah, and then inside here, if we dropped it, which I'm not gonna do, if we dropped it, we would see tons of bubbles. It would look something like
that inside?
Yep.
It would split open, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do one more thing. Okay. So let's think about magma flowing in a conduit before it erupts. Okay. Flowing through the throat of the volcano. So here's the magma right here. It's actually sort of silly putty.
Okay.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make the magma flow slowly first.
Okay, so
just pull slowly.
Okay.
Okay. Here's slowly flowing magma. Okay. No problem. Lava comes out and so forth. Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
So now, all of a sudden, for some reason, maybe because there's a lot of gas in the system, the stuff, instead of flowing slowly, it's flowing fast. 1, 2, 3. Okay?
Oh, it
so
just
it
came
didn't
right
flow.
apart.
It didn't flow. It actually broke. So it can come out as big pieces, one big piece, one big piece, one very big piece.
Or a whole
But it
bunch of
can
little
also
ones.
come out as ash. So these are very small pieces.
So that's how you get all these cool shapes I found.
Okay, so this is a picture of the Giant's Causeway in Northern Ireland, and it's showing a series of lava flows. And the columns, they're actually called columnar joints, and it's caused by the cooling of the lava. This other picture is a picture of the Hawaiian Islands. I think it's a very great place to look for lava flows. You can see wonderful lava flows actually in the process of forming and flowing and actually flowing into the ocean sometimes. Yeah, and this is an example of a lava tube. And a lava tube is basically just as it sounds, lava flowing through a tube. And one reason it's able to flow in the tube is because the tube insulates the lava, so it stays hot, it's able to flow, and it's actually able to flow sometimes very long distances.
Okay, so now what are we doing over here?
Okay, we're gonna look at two pieces of volcanic rock.
Okay, so
Pick up the first one.
this one.
So people actually use that for their barbecues?
It has a bunch of holes.
Yeah, throw it in the water now.
Okay.
Okay, so that sinks.
It just sank right
Most
away.
volcanic rocks sink.
Yeah.
Throw that one in the water.
Okay, so this one, it floats.
It's got so many bubbles, it's super light, less dense than water, so it actually floats. And this is from a highly explosive volcanic eruption.
So maybe it's the only rock that floats?
Yeah, I think it is the only rock that floats. That's exactly
Wow.
right.
So thanks for helping me find stuff out. Can you come back later for the big finale?
I wouldn't miss it.
Awesome. Amazing, isn't it? Volcanoes make you think of destruction and ruin, but there are a lot of positive things that come out of them too, like soap. Besides that, volcano stuff is also made into blades that eye doctors use to perform delicate surgery. It's in the cement used to build our homes and schools, and in fertilizers that help to grow our food. Let's take another question. This one's from Sam.
My question is, what's the temperature inside of a volcano?
The temperature inside of a volcano? Okay, let's take a look. The temperature inside of my house is about 20 degrees. And we know a volcano is hotter than that. Water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, but rock melts much hotter than that. Our oven can bake stuff at 220 degrees, but I don't think rock can melt in it. Maybe if we use 16 ovens, 220 times 16, probably close to the temperature of my brain right now, which is hot enough to... You're gonna make my head explode! So I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say that the inside of a volcano is really hot. But to get a more precise answer, I'm gonna go over to Sidney at the Science Center. Over to you, Sidney.
Thank you, Harrison.
Now we're gonna meet George Kourounis. Speaking of which, where is he? What is that?
Hi, Sidney.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. Getting kind of warm in here.
What is this?
This is my volcano heat suit. It's a specially designed suit that allows me to not only get close to volcanoes, but right up to the lava.
So you've been into real volcanoes with this?
Several times, yeah. It's what I do.
That is so cool.
I explore erupting volcanoes.
It must have been really hot, though.
Exactly, and that's why I wear the suit. Lava can be 2,000 degrees. Now imagine if you're baking a cake at home, that's only 350 degrees. So if lava were to cover your car, it would melt. It's hot enough to melt rock. I've been in the situation where I've had lava in my hand, like a hot potato. It's so hot.
So you must have been in there very short periods of time, otherwise this you might even burn.
Exactly, it will protect me, but not for a long time. I'll put on the suit, I'll get into the volcano, close to the lava, maybe for a few minutes to grab a sample, take some photos, and then out.
So how does a volcano work?
Well, I've got a simulation right here and I can show you. Hit the button.
Okay.
Water volcanoes, one of the biggest kinds. Yes, and when they have a huge eruption,
Look at that.
rocks can go flying for kilometers out of the volcano.
And look at the streaks of ash with the rocks.
Yep. Tremendous
Flying
amounts of
out.
ash that can bury cities and spread more than halfway around the world.
It's almost like an avalanche of ash.
That's exactly what it is. That's a pyroclastic flow. It is an avalanche of ash and hot gas pouring down the side of the mountain. Pompeii is a city in Italy that was completely buried by ash in 79 AD, a long time ago, and they were actually able to excavate, find the city underneath, and they actually found the shell of people that were buried by the volcano 2,000 years ago.
The shell?
By digging down, they were able to find empty spaces in the piles of ash where people used to be. They filled those holes with plaster, and when they took away all the ash, they found the shape of human beings.
Whoa.
It's really amazing to see. The power of a volcano, it's like a gigantic bomb going off.
If the city was at the bottom of the volcano, could any people run away and escape before it came in?
Depends on the size of the volcanic eruption. A big eruption, like the one that we just simulated here, you would have pretty much no chance of running.
How does that suit protect you then?
Well, let me show you. Come on. All right, I'm gonna show you exactly how this suit protects me from a volcano's heat. I got my friend Mark here. He's gonna breathe fire on me. Stand back.
Cool. I'm not sure what they're about to do, but whatever it is, do not try it at home.
Ready?
Whoa! Whoa, that was amazing! Woohoo! That was great! Thank you guys so much for joining us. Back to you, host Harrison.
What a coincidence! That's how my grandma bakes her cookies. Thanks, Sidney. And now it's time to go to the question that started this investigation.
What will happen if someone cracks the Earth?
The big answer is nothing new. The Earth already is cracked, and is still cracking and shifting as we speak. Along with that, we get new mountains, new islands, and we have to live with occasional earthquakes and volcanoes. Which unfortunately we can't predict. But here's something we can predict. At the beginning of the show, I promised you a huge eruption, and here it is. So here I am back at my school's loading dock, which they have let me use for this demonstration, and Professor Sticks has come to help me out.
Yeah, Harrison, we're gonna make an explosive eruption. We're gonna shake up these cans and we're gonna simulate a volcanic eruption on
Okay.
3. Ready?
Okay,
One,
one,
two,
two,
3. All right, not bad.
So that was fun, but it wasn't the explosive finish that you've been waiting for. Right, Professor?
Yeah, I think we can do better.
Yeah.
Wait, what's the first thing you do when a volcano erupts?
Run?
As fast as you can.
Okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. See you next time for more Finding Stuff Out! It's not my fault the Earth went crack. He pushed me, so I pushed him back. It's not my fault this seismic rift. Pacific plate, he started it. When plate pushes plate, you get an earthquake. When plate pushes plate, you get an earthquake.